If you want to ace your paper, download Grammarly.
Thank you so much, Sneh. Good morning, UKZN students and staff. Welcome to the Singular Industry Talk by the School of Engineering. My name is Leena Rajpal, and I'm the Public Relations Representative for the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Most importantly, I want to thank our guests from Singular who have taken time off to present to our students and staff. I would now like to mention a few house rules for the program. Firstly, the event is recorded. In terms of complying with the POPIA Act, kindly note that we will use the information from the event for publishing purposes. Should you not want your information to be used in the purposes stated above, kindly send me your concerns to rajpal@ukzn.ac.za. During the course of the event, all attendees will be muted with their videos switched off. If you have any questions during the presentations, kindly post them in the chat box facility. There will be someone who will answer your questions. During the Q&A session, the presenter will give you a chance to ask your questions. Please raise your hands so that the tech person can identify you and allow you to unmute and pose your questions to each presenter. If by any chance attendees interfere with the presentations, we will note your details and remove you from the event. Finally, the recordings will be emailed to all attendees present and will also be posted on the CAE website. I would now like to hand over to Professor David Lokhat, who is the academic leader for chemical engineering in the School of Engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, Leena. Students, thank you so much. A warm welcome to this industry talk session this afternoon. It's a part of a series of industry talks that the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Sciences put together. Great opportunity for you to engage with industry representatives and, maybe just learn a little bit more about their specific industry and their company and the opportunities that they have available to you. Okay, so we've got a good program for you set up this afternoon. I'm going to encourage you to post some questions in the chat box, which can be answered during the Q&A session. We will have a Q&A session after the series of presentations as well, a little bit later on. I encourage you to raise your hand there and pose questions to our presenters. They'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Okay. So let's get straight into it then with our first set of speakers. We've got Anneline Basdeo, who's the Vice President for Singular Africa, as well as Ann van Heerden, who's basically finished her internship with the company and is now serving in the role of a consultant with Singular. Anneline is actually an alumni from UKZN. She completed her bachelor's and master's degree here in chemical engineering. And she has more than 6 years of experience as a consultant. So really looking forward to the talk that the both of them are going to be presenting. The topic there, becoming a management consultant post-COVID-19. I can hand over now to Anneline and Anne. Take it away.
Thank you, David. Appreciate the introduction. Maybe just to begin, I would like to reintroduce myself as well as my participants, if you don't mind moving to the next slide. So as David said, my name is Anneline Basdeo. I'm the Vice President of Singular Group, and I run the operations in Singular Africa. I am a UKZN alumni. I've actually worked studied at the School of Chemical Engineering, retaining my bachelor's and my master's in chemical engineering. But I do something a little different right now. And this is the purpose of the discussion today. So I actually run strategic projects within Singular, and these strategic projects run from organizational transformations to product development to digital transformation and even sales. And I'm going to talk a bit about that in the discussion today. I'm going to hand over to Sheethal to introduce herself as the second speaker, as well as Annie. Sheethal, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us today. as you can see, my name is Sheethal Kalua. Not only am I the head of operations at Singular Africa, I'm also the CFO and head of HR. So wearing multiple hats at the moment. But I've got many years of experience in the consulting industry in various aspects as well. And I've been responsible very early on within the organization for developing a lot of the HR frameworks and processes that we now see within HR. So I'm the go-to person if you have any questions regarding our processes and how to apply and how to get involved. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you, Sheethal. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Anne. I recently joined Singular actually at the beginning of this year as an intern. As Anneline, I also did engineering. So I did my bachelor's degree in industrial engineering at the University of Pretoria, whereafter I did my master's in industrial engineering at the University of Stellenbosch. And yeah, so this is my first job. I completed my internship at the end of June this year, and I started with my permanent position as a junior associate in July. Thank you. Over to you, Anneline.
Thank you, Annie. So why are we here today? And if you look at the next slide, there's a funny meme about what exactly does management consultants do, or what exactly do management consultants do, and how does it even link to the School of Engineering, Science and Agriculture? And this is really the purpose of why we are here today, to introduce the topic of management consulting to you. How does it actually work in the industrial space? And how does this link to the skill set that engineers, scientists have, and how can that be applied into the business world? So society thinks consultants are just these men in suits that sit in front of you and really just tell you what to do. My mom thinks that it's a really fancy job where you sit in the boardroom, and honestly our clients just think that we're constantly just charging them a lot of money and we're just swimming in money. But we're going to give you a good understanding of what management consultants do in this discussion. If you go to the next slide, I want to actually start off by introducing Singular and what Singular does and how do we fit in the management consulting space. So Singular is actually an investment and strategy consulting powerhouse. We're an international firm with consultants from a variety of backgrounds. When it comes to topics and expertise we focus on, the first topic is strategy and organization. So here we help organizations to develop their growth strategy and actually implement it. We support them in designing their organizational structures, and we actually help them to design their culture transformation. Seems very HR-like, but it actually requires a lot of problem solving and strategic support to change the culture of an organization. The second topic that we work on is investment advisory services. So here we work with private equity companies to form commercial due diligence, technical due diligence, and a series of analysis that actually help them understand, one, which companies they should buy or invest in, and secondly, how do we evaluate whether that is a viable option or not? And we do that across many industries, including the mining sector. And then the last topic that we focus on is digitization and innovation, which is really trying to drive strategies that focus on not just industrializing companies, but moving into more of a tech-driven world. So if we go to the next slide, what we see is that Singular is actually an international organization. So we span across 7 offices along 4 continents. So we are actually a 50+ employee organization. So we're relatively small, but we have an international presence. So we bring about a family-like orientation where we're close-knit and we work together as a team in a non-hierarchical structure, but we have this international presence. Anne, Sheethal, and I represent the little green dot at the bottom, which is the South African office, but you can see that our work actually spans across Africa, but not just across Africa, but even in international borders. And this spans across multiple industries. So for example, you would see the companies at the bottom include companies like Exxaro, which is a coal mining company. We have iron ore companies, ferroalloy companies, but we also have banks We have industrial companies and oil and gas companies. And even you would see what's here is nonprofits. So companies like foundations who are interested in understanding how they could execute their strategy within Africa. And if you move to the next slide, what we've seen is that a young graduate at Singular offers a multitude of opportunities. One, it offers you an opportunity to be a part of a global system. So we've served clients across 50 countries in multiple industries. So traveling is a critical part of our role, and engaging with international cultures is a critical part of our role. We focus on technology and innovation. So we're constantly trying to push thought leadership and drive strategies in the innovation space. We have a very unique culture where it's completely merit driven. So our performance based, and if you are somebody that likes to work in a high performing environment, this is the place to be, because we are very, very merit driven, and we have a very entrepreneurial mindset. So entrepreneurship is the core of our values, or our cultural values at Singular. So if you're somebody that's entrepreneurial and wants to almost be an entrepreneur where you drive new ideas within the organization, this is the place to be. And we have a diverse set of teams. As I said, you would have to collaborate and work with not just teams within South Africa, but teams across such as Munich and Germany itself. So now that I've introduced a bit about Singular, we're actually going to talk about the industrial topic of management consulting, and what is it, and what does a management consulting do. So I'm going to hand over to Anne, who's going to describe the concept to you.
Thank you, Anneline. So if you look at the picture on the screen, it says, so you're telling me you studied engineering for 4 years and to become a management consultant. And I think that is exactly what happened to me, except I studied for 6 years and then I became a management consultant. So why did I choose to actually become a consultant and not follow engineering? I think for me personally, it was because I wanted to be exposed to a diverse set of problems, a diverse set of people, and actually learn problem solving skills from people that are not engineers. So within engineering, you get taught how to problem solve in your little toolbox for engineering. But I think for management consulting, there's a lot of different skills, and the people that's doing BCom and IT or accounting, all of them, they can actually also solve problems. And for me, it was to get exposed to those problem solving capabilities. But I think a lot of people have their own reasons why. So what is consulting? So consultants are like doctors for companies. So what do? We actually support our clients to figure out what are the key questions they need to solve and what is the key issues that they have within their companies. And then we help them actually to develop the solutions and the answers to solve these questions and to develop these issues into a practical and a very tangible way to solve it. So if you look at the slide, it says there's no one size fits all definitions for consulting. So within consulting, you get a wide variety of definitions and what different people do, but we solve problems by doing a large amounts of research and analysis and collecting data, etc., to solve these very complicated problems for our clients. So why do companies actually use consultants? So executives face a wide range of challenges, and sometimes or most often they don't actually have the resources or the capabilities, or they don't actually know what the problem is in the first place to solve it. So typical problems that executives face is, for example, I want to grow my business, but I don't know where to start. Then they would get the consultant in, and strategy consultants are experts in designing and implementing these strategies. Or they might have a question with regards to, I have thought of everything and I cannot seem to get past this specific issue. Then the consultants will come in and provide a very fresh and expert perspective to these issues that constantly pop up. Or another reason why they would use a consultant is they do not have the right skills to actually deal with the issue. So we are actually skilled problem solvers, and we often specialize in addressing very specific, complex problems in a variety of industries. So what do we consult on? There are a wide range of different project functions that we do within a wide range of industries. So consulting can be a cultural transformation, it can be organizational change, it can be strategy development, marketing, digital integration, and even social impact. These are just the types of potential problems that you could see within consulting. And all of these different types of projects are actually within a variety of industries. And the industries that Singular is focusing on is specifically mining and metals, industrial goods and resources, energy, private equity, software, consumer goods, social and public sector, and then finance and banking. So over the last 8 months, I've actually been exposed to the banking or the finance industry, the mining industry, the logistics industry, hospitality, as well as e-commerce, because we do these types of projects within a wide range of industries. So I think Anneline will quickly go through what does a typical consulting project look like.
Thank you, Annie. Just to give you a little practical example of a management consultant, I'm going to give you one of our smaller pieces of work that we've done this year. So the client that we worked with was actually a venture capital firm, and the venture capital firm is called Enigma Ventures. It's a very cool venture capital company that you could research after this discussion. They had this mandate to actually invest in startups within Africa, and they wanted to focus specifically on technology. So any entrepreneur that had a cool idea that would leverage technology in Africa. But secondly, they had a social impact factor linked to it. So they were looking specifically for entrepreneurs that were female. So any female entrepreneur that had a tech idea or had built a tech company. The issue that they had is that they had a large number of applications, and they would go into term sheet negotiations and negotiate with this company, only to find out very later on that they didn't really think of their business further or think ambitiously of their business. So what we did, and the solution that we designed for them in the middle here, we have a summary of a little heat map, but basically we created a screening toolkit for them. And the screening toolkit actually assessed the viability of the business commercially. So it formed a series of analysis that our consultants would do for them. So one, from sizing the market, so actually trying to figure out what is the total opportunity size for this potential startup. Is the market $10 billion? Is it literally $500 million? Or is it, you know what, very small and niche? Is the market competitive? And is there actually a value proposition to this product? So it's very much like a Shark Tank sort of application, but done through a rigorous analysis that our consultants do. And we pass through many companies through this filter, and we identify potential companies that this venture capital firm could invest in. And they have invested over the years in a series of technology companies that we've advised them on. Some recent ones included a microloan company within Kenya, and some companies we've actually placed on the slide. Koa Academy, which is actually a fully online academy for students. Brown & AO, which is actually a black hair and lifestyle brand, and Feel Good Health, which is a completely online health and wellness store. So we were able to identify potential opportunities that were female-led to grow female-led businesses, but most importantly, drive the tech factor within Africa. And we did this by using problem-solving analytics and our ability to stress test organizations to solve this. So it was never core engineering, but what was so crucial about it is that we used our problem-solving mindset to come up with these frameworks and help the business identify potential opportunities. Over to you, Annie.
Thank you, Anneline. So I actually just want to quickly add, so I've worked on two well, actually 4 DDs, these type of DDs for Enigma in this year. And these projects are really a lot of fun. You get to interact actually with the client and the target, and you get to actually create a very niche knowledge and very quick, very in-depth knowledge about a specific industry where the target is operating in. And these projects are really, really fun. You get so into the business of this future entrepreneur and this woman that's like, she's very passionate, or they are very passionate about the business, and you get to work with them, and then you also want to like buy into their business, but at the same time you need to remain like objective at the market. What is like the realistic growth of this? But these projects are a lot of fun. So the next topic that we are going to discuss is how has COVID impacted management consulting? Thank you. Over to you, Anneline.
Perfect. So I think the question here is, like, did consulting firms actually face challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic? And what's interesting is that, number one, of course, it changed the way we interacted with clients. So, maintaining client relationships and working with businesses requires you to build a relationship with them, to really get to know them and work very closely with them to understand what are the different problems that arise so that we can properly solve their business issues. This was created some difficulty during the crisis, but competitors are usually located far away. So a virtual background has actually brought us closer. So it has allowed us to work remotely and engage more with our clients than we actually usually did. In addition to that, what it created was a lack of consultants, because what happened was the demand actually outweighed the supply. So some of the glamour was lost because of traveling, etc., and it lacked that personal touch. And we also faced a lot of recruiting challenges. At the same time, there were a lot of shifting paradigms that happened. So consultants were challenged to react in new innovative ways rather than solve the traditional novel problems. For example, we've had problems which were just, come up with new business ideas, because COVID-19 has completely, destroyed our existing revenue streams. So we had to create very SWOT, immediate problem-solving teams to help them identify quick revenue streams just for businesses to remain afloat. So it changed the way we looked at solutions, and it also changed the types of problems that we had to solve. In addition to that, there was some loss of business. So some clients' first reaction was to cut consulting services. They believed consulting was expensive and it was a luxury, and some consultancies, lacked the novel expertise like digital transformation. If you move to the next slide. At the same time that we face these challenges, the consulting industry was still booming and is still booming at this moment. So there's a projected growth for the next 4 to 6 years of around 4 to 9% per annum. Our projected COVID recovery is around 8 to 10%. And the projected growth between the years 2021 to 2024 on organizational change and change management is around 25% per annum. This is critical because a lot of our work at the moment is on organizational change and strategy transformation of organizations, which is quite critical. So as much as we face difficulties during COVID-19 with interacting with our clients and clients thinking that, using consultants is more of a luxury cost, the result of that is that there was a need to turn around businesses. So they needed consultants to come in and bring in new ideas. There was a need to find innovative ways to strategize and disrupt competitors. There was an opportunity for big players to actually invest in smaller players and take over the markets, and they needed consultants to do so. So as a result, post-COVID, we've actually been the busiest we've ever been, because we've been supporting a lot of these changes that are occurring during the COVID-19 transition. Okay, so why do management consulting at Singular? So one, as I've said before, it's a global focus. So we have smaller offices. It's a 50+ organization worldwide, but we're across several markets. So you have the opportunity to work in a smaller firm, but have global experience and global interaction. So this includes an international client base across Africa, as well as Europe and the US. In addition to that, we offer value for money products and services to our clients. So we are priced in between tier 1 and tier 2 organizations, but we try to strive for tier 1 performance, which is quite important. So we try to offer very practical advice and play more of a long-term partner to our clients rather than a once-off partner. We also offer a very unique approach to businesses. So as Anne said, we are the doctors of consulting, or the doctors of businesses, but within that, as consultants, we play a more integrated approach. So not only do we have internal capabilities within each project, we focus a lot on designing and personalizing our solutions with each client. And we do so in a very partner model, which requires us to play a very long-term role with the client. So you would come in a business, help them solve the problem, show them how to implement it, and actually be their advisor for a very long period of time. So you actually start to see the business grow from start to end. In addition to that, we actually recognize the value of our employees. So culture transformation is not something that we consult on, but it's something that we try to adhere to and advise on within our organization. So we play or make an effort to invest in employee engagement and employee motivation. We have a proven model of being merit-driven. We are also very flexible in our hours, and we also create a very collaborative culture. So these are the key reasons why, it's a good idea not just to think of management consulting, but to think of management consulting within Singular.
Thank you, Anneline. So the last chapter that we are going to discuss is, are you ready to start a career as a management consulting? Okay, so is consulting for you? So there's a range of attributes and characteristics consultants typically have, but no one consultant is exactly the same. Because we come from a wide range of different industries, different backgrounds, each consultant brings actually something unique to the table. So does some of these characteristics resonate with you? Then management consulting could be for you. I think what is important to note here that you don't have to be qualified 100% in all of these characteristics, but you actually get the chance to develop some of them. So if I could just quickly touch on some of the most important things, I think a consistent theme that you already heard today is like the problem-solving skills. So we solve problems for a life. So problem-solving skills is really, really important. You need to be able to think out of the box, think in the box, come up with creative solutions, really understand the problem, to really add value to your clients. And I think in Singular, another important characteristic is our teamwork capabilities. So we work in very small teams, but international teams. For example, the first day that I joined Singular, I was part of the Munich team, and we worked with a Canadian client, and the manager was somebody that was actually a Russian. So it was like very, very diverse type of projects, and you need to be able to work within these teams. And I don't think it's like university or school where there's like the weakest link and there's always somebody that does all the work and somebody that does nothing. I don't think it's like that at all. Everybody needs to pull in their weight and put in the effort and to really do what they need to do. And I think a critical skill for me that I'm busy developing within Singular is actually being creative. So being an engineer, you think like an engineer, very black and white, but we are often faced with projects that you need to be a little bit creative. If you need to size a market for an industry that's not really there yet, you need to think of creative ways how you can do that. Or if you can't find the correct data or sources, you need to come up with creative ideas or how you're going to get that data or make some assumptions, etc. And then we also have some strategy projects that you actually need to think creative on how to, for example, create a new strategy direction or strategic direction for a company, and then we typically look at what is happening in the industry. This company is doing this, this company is doing this, and this is what Apple is doing, this is what Google is doing. What lessons can we learn to actually apply within a bank or within a mine, etc. So you really need to be creative. But there's a lot of skills. For example, you need to be diligent. Communication skills is critical. You need to be able to work independent, and you need to be curious because every day is different. You get to learn and develop so much every single day. So I think this is a question that's on top of most of your heads. Going into consulting or going directly into industry? I was also faced with this question at the end of my bachelor's degree, and again at the end of my master's degree. I didn't know where I want to go exactly. I touched on it why I want to go into consulting, but just to quickly explain briefly the differences between going into consulting and industry. I think one of the critical aspects is actually the breadth of experience. So if you think about a T, there's like a longitudinal and a depth. So we get, in consulting, you get exposed to a wide range of industries, whereas if you go into industry, you become really an expert in a specific industry and a specific problem. And then I would think the learning curve is another a critical thing that's different between consulting and industry. And that's also one of the reasons why I choose consulting, because you are faced with a very, very steep learning curve. And you actually, for me, I felt a little bit behind some of my peers that already started to work after 4 years. And I felt like I needed to catch up a little bit. And consulting is great for that, because you're faced with a very, very steep learning curve, and you catch up very, very quickly. So you become really an expert within a wide range of industries very, very quickly. Whereas when you go directly into industry, you are often faced with similar problems every single day, similar routines, similar tasks, etc. Whereas in consulting, I promise you, you don't know. If you wake up in the morning, you don't know what's lying ahead of the day. When you open your computer, there's like, okay, invite for that, invite for this, a call for that. And every single day is unique, and you get exposed to so many different skills, different industries, different everything. And I think then lastly, the exit opportunities. So when you go directly into industry, it's very difficult to go into another industry or go any verticals, because you became an expert, for example, in supply chain, or you become a process or a chemical engineer within Sheethal. Then it's very difficult to change your direction of your career. Whereas consultants are really highly sought after, and they often get poached by different types of industries because you have a skill set that everybody wants, because you solve problems. Okay, so why join Singular? So Anneline is quickly going to talk about being a female leader within the industry, whereafter we are going to quickly look at a video of some of the joiners that joined in 2019 and what they have to say.
Thank you, Annie. I think what's important is as we move into a space where we're trying to promote more and more female support or female friendly environments, I would like to actually just maybe talk about my own experience at Singular. So I joined Singular as a junior associate after spending a few years in the engineering industry, and I'm now the vice president of Singular Africa. And the reason why I love Singular, if I could put it into 4 bullet points, is one, I enjoy working on solving CEO level problems. That excites me a lot because I feel like I'm making a significant impact at a business level and an organization level, which impacts multiple jobs, it impacts the economy, it impacts the industry. And it also puts a lot of pressure on you to really get it done well. I enjoy the idea that, you get to progress in your career at your own pace. So it's merit driven. And if you deserve to take on the new role, you get the new role. I love having fun with a young team of thinkers like Anne. So it's a very young team, very innovative, and it's a fast pace. And there's this openness to sometimes have uncomfortable discussions, which I enjoy, especially as a female who's always trying to figure out how do I express myself in a way that is still professional. The one thing I enjoy about Singular is that you have the openness to really just lay your feelings out on a table and have uncomfortable discussions so that we could work better together in a professional environment. So these are the 4 major reasons why I enjoy working at Singular.
Thank you, Anneline. Quickly going over to the video.
Hi, Anneline. I think we can't hear the sound. Can you possibly just reshare it?
Okay.
Oh, Anne, sorry.
Second. Sorry.
It's totally fine. We always have that creeping up on us.
Okay, I'm going to just start again.
I can hear it now. I can't see the screen though.
Okay, wait 1 second. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
Consulting is helping your clients solve very complex problems in a simple and practical manner. So that
Okay, I think we've lost the sound again, Annie. What we can do is let's reshare the link on the chat. Apologies for the video not playing. It seems to cut on sound. So Annie, just reshare the video on the chat so our participants get an opportunity to hear from our team.
Yeah, perfect. We'll do that. Yeah, can you see my screen again?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so what does consulting at Singular looks like compared to the others? So Anneline briefly talked about these tier 1 firms, and they are typically the Bain & Company, Boston Consulting Group, etc. So they are very good, but they lack, if you join them, there's several ways that they lack, where Singular really gives you heavy exposure to industries such as C-level exposure. For example, if you join as a graduate, I think within your first few weeks, as Anneline said, we solve C-level suite problems. So you get to present to the CEOs and the CEOs of companies, even as an intern. Like if you start, it can be within day 1, or it can be within week 1 or month 1. You really get to exposure to that. With the broad project exposure, I think we already touched on that. I already worked on a strategy project, cultural transformation, these due diligences for the startup companies. I've done a lot of research as well as on like business development, working on proposals. So you really get exposed to a wide range of different projects. I think, for example, when you join a very niche and the niche players, you get exposed to only the type of consulting problems they solve. For example, if they are a supply chain consultant, you will constantly just solve supply chain problems, whereas within Singular, you really get exposed to a wide range of projects. And then international projects, yes, you get exposed to that. As I said, I've already worked on a Canadian CDD, and I'm currently working with a Munich team on a lot of different projects within Munich and within different areas within Europe. So that's really nice, and I think that makes us unique. And in the entrepreneurial environment, Anneline also talked about that, and that is about, we don't really come up only with the problems, even within the company and for our clients, we really come up with the solutions. So if you're not happy with how something is working, there's an open door policy within Singular where you can raise concerns and come up with solutions. And they're always very eager to, yes, let's try it. I think you have a point there. So I think that's what really makes us unique. And then career progression, we will touch on that a bit later. Okay, so what is it like working at Singular? So from the outside, it might seem that Singular is just an entrepreneurial management consulting firm with an increasing global reputation. But that's what, if the outside world looks at Singular, that is what they see. But what is really happening on the inside in Singular? So firstly, we are this global company and we are very much focused on developmental. So we constantly develop, and within the industries, within our people, within our projects, we aim towards constantly developing very personalized individual solutions for our customers, as well as for our colleagues. So we have this thing, how do you prefer to work? And then you would communicate that to your manager, and they also try to develop you according to that and accommodate you according to that. Rewarding, we are strictly performance-based. I think we already touched on that. And then we have a free 3-day firm-wide vacation. So we are this global firm, but we also want to nurture relationships between us and the Munich team and the people that's in Italy, etc. So once a year, we get together somewhere very exciting in the world to actually meet the other people. So this year, within a month's time, we're actually going to Greece to meet everybody. So the entire team is very, very excited for that. It feels like it's going to be a December holiday. Yeah, very, very looking forward to that. And then committed. As I said, we have this open door policy, and we really have a good relationship between the peers and the management, and between the associates as well. We really try to nurture these relationships and build on that and work on that, not just working on the client problems and projects, but also to work on the personal side, the relationship side. Mutual expectations of taking ownership. So even as a graduate, you are given the opportunity to really own your work stream or your piece of analysis or your piece of work. It's yours, and you take full responsibility of what you did, and actually to present it to either the manager or the client. Somebody else is not going to take credit for your work, you own your work. And then entrepreneurial. So as we said, we are independent and pragmatic attitude, and we are all highly encouraged to improve the work that we are doing for our clients, as well as the work we are doing internal within Singular. You are also always encouraged to take initiative within and outside your work stream. I think within Singular, you always get asked the opportunities to give your input. They always listen to you and value your opinion, even as an intern. So day one, they would ask you, how do you think we could improve? It could be a little bit overwhelming, but they make the opportunity for you to speak up and to give your ideas and to voice it. You're not just another team member, but you're actually a very crucial part of the team, because we are quite small teams. So this is what it looks inside Singular. So how's Singular actually, this merit-based culture is working like? So we have these different positions within Singular, from a graduate intern, that is where I was 2 months ago. And then we have the junior associate, and then associate, senior associate, etc. So we actually have one of the fastest career progression paths, I think, in the industry. So these are a minimum and then an average time that you spend on each position. And the minimum of 2.5 years from a junior associate to a manager. And this usually takes approximately 4 years at the MBB, that's now the McKinsey, Bain, and BCG companies. So really, this helps you to very fast track your career. For example, Anneline reached senior principal in 6 years, and I think vice president in 7 years, if I'm not mistaken, for that one. So, so within Singular, we really have this nurturing culture where we nurture the relationships, but we also try to be daring to actually accelerate your career and develop technically and as a professional. So the next thing I think is, how do I apply at Singular? So over to Sheethal.
Thank you, Anne. So before I go into the application process and discuss the various steps, I just want to put it out there that Singular has an ongoing recruitment drive. So we hire graduates throughout the year. And in order for students to get to know who we are and what we do, etc., we have various activities that we facilitate. For example, on-campus events, there's virtual case study workshops that we facilitate. It's also company presentations that we get involved in. These activities are advertised on our LinkedIn pages, and we also advertise them through various societies, through some of the universities in South Africa. I believe that this is our first event with UKZN, and I'm looking forward to some more engagement and interaction with the students of UKZN. So very excited about this, this initiative. Now, although we hire on an ongoing basis, there are two crucial periods that you should aim to apply for, and that is the January period as well as the July. So how the internship works is that it's a 6-month internship that starts in either January or in July. We also offer students an opportunity to apply for vacation work in July. And let's say, for example, you do apply and we've reached our hiring mandate. What we will do is we will try to either defer your start date or make provision within the course of the year to accommodate a graduate that has been successful through our recruitment process. Now let's look at the process quickly. So how do you apply? I think a few minutes ago, Sibu put a link on the chat. You can apply through that link. Alternatively, you can apply on our website, which you'll see at the end of this deck as well. There's a link on our website where you can actually apply for graduate program. Excuse my dogs. And you'll be directed to our HR portal where you will upload your CV, your transcripts, as well as your cover letter. Thereafter, you're invited to participate in a 10-minute problem-solving test. Now, what this test does is it tests your quantitative ability, your logical thinking, and your verbal reasoning. I would encourage you to take 1 or 2 days to prepare for this test, and Sibu, who is our HR coordinator, will share links online that you can actually log on to and practice some of these questions, or at least how these questions are structured before you attempt this test. It's crucial that you make some time to prepare if you want a positive outcome. These questions are a little bit challenging, but I just want to mention, I mean, at Singular, we're very selective in our recruitment, in our screening process. And the reason for that is because this is not just an internship where you come there and given menial tasks. You are actually integrated into the team from day one. And our intention as an organization is to ultimately hire people that we want to absorb into the organization. So it's not just a part-time job. It's potentially the start of your career at Singular. The second step, if you are successful through the problem-solving test, you get invited to participate in an investment case. There's a minimum of 5 slots. It's a very guided deck. And you're given some time to complete this task. Now, what this is looking at is, how well you research, how strong the insights that you draw from the research are, how you illustrate and deliver the information to your audience. And ultimately, are you able to make a decision and do your arguments substantiate your decision? So that's what we're looking for. There's no right or wrong answer. The next step, you'll be invited to, if you successfully go through or submit an investment case that meets our requirements, you are invited to a first round interview. the first round interview basically is, so the first, how it's structured is the first 10 or 15 minutes. The interviewer gets to know who you are, what you're all about. There's some personal questions. They also delve into, possibly, some achievements that you would have gained academically, and whether there's any professional experience you have. I mean, look, these interviews for graduate program does not require professional experience, but it's always nice to hear from the student. And then there's a typical case study question that's asked. I encourage you, when you go through this interview process, that you sufficiently prepare yourself before you go in there, because you do have to solve that case question in the interview. I also encourage you to ask as many questions as you need, clarifying questions to help you solve this case. And 100% be calm. You are speaking to a bunch of really, really cool people, so don't be intimidated. The second round interview, if you are successful through the first round, it's very similar to the first round. And remember that in these interviews, we're not only looking for the hard skills, so not only the problem solving and the analytical capabilities, we're also looking for that culture fit. So how do you interact with your interviewer? Do you show signs of commitment? Are you somebody that is easy to speak to, is open to the feedback that you're given during the interview, etc.? So we're also gauging how well you'll fit into the culture of our organization. If you're successful through these 2 rounds of interviews, you get invited to a final round interview with a partner, which is generally an interview where the partner or the senior partner gets to know a little bit more about you. It's not a case interview, but there are sometimes sort of puzzles or riddles that you might be required to solve. And if you are successful through this entire process, myself, I will reach out to you, I'll give you a call, and then we'll discuss a potential offer. You'll be extended an offer, and you'll be given about 7 days within which to respond. Throughout this whole process, Sibu will be in touch with you, giving you feedback on every step of the way. He'll also assist you with some preparation material to help you prepare for your problem-solving test, to help you prepare for your case study interviews. And he'll also give you feedback after each round. And at Singular, we are very specific in the way we assess people. So it's not like somebody just types out some notes and tells you, well, this person is strong here or there, whatever. There's a specific rubric that we complete that assesses each and every skill. So Sibu has this information, and he'll share this information on how you can potentially improve in the next round of your interview. So if you go into the next slide, thanks, Anne. So I would recommend, these interviews are not, I'm not sure if you've ever been through a case study interview, but you do need to prepare yourself to go into them. So firstly, I encourage you to read whatever material you can find online on how to solve cases. The second thing you should do, and this is something that Sibu will send you as well, just to get you started, he'll send you links to practice how to answer case study questions. And we also open to, if you need further assistance, we can also send you a link to a case study training that we've got internally as well. And the third step, which is also very crucial, is to grab a friend and to practice solving case study questions with them in sort of like a mock interview, because it's always nice to get some feedback from the individual, like, how am I answering this question? Am I keeping my, how's my engagement with you? Am I keeping this, am I relatable? So there's various ways to do this. And honestly, this is the best way that you can actually prepare. In terms of online materials for the problem solving test, there's various links online and various materials that you can pick up. If you search GMAT questions, because that's very similar to how our questions are structured. So that's the first part. And the case study information you can get, there's also multiple websites online that you can use to practice for your case study interviews. Thank you. So if you have any questions related to the consulting industry, please pose them. I think Anneline and Anne will be open to those questions. If you have any questions related to HR, how you can apply, etc., I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you so much, Sheethal, Anne and Anneline. Sheethal, I didn't get a chance to introduce you to the students, but I think you did that perfectly. We really appreciate all three of you coming through today and delivering these talks. I think it was very informative. Hopefully the students get have a better understanding of what Singular does and basically the management consulting space as well. Okay, we are going into the Q&A session. Thank you so much to the three of you as well for answering some of the students' questions on the chat. I see a couple of hands up already. I can go to Luftando. Luftando, your line is quite bad, but if you can speak up. Okay, Luftando's lost him. If there's any other questions. Lutando, your line is very, very bad, Lutando. If you can put your question into the chat.
I see. Sorry, David. I see Lutando's question is on the chat. Maybe I could just respond verbally.
Yes, please go ahead.
So Lutando's question is, does Singular use artificial intelligence techniques or technologies in order to make business decisions or to make prediction models? So it's a good question. So no, we don't use artificial intelligence itself or artificial intelligence systems, but we do create prediction models. So for example, a model that we created was looking at the supply-demand dynamics of iron ore in the market. And we use that to predict the long-term price of iron ore. We then combine that model with a cost curve prediction model of the mine to understand whether or not the business should shut down the mine. So we do predictions and develop prediction models, but we do not use artificial intelligence.
Okay, great. Are there any other questions? Please post them in the chat box. You can put your hand up and address the speakers directly as well. Please take this opportunity. I see a hand up from Elliot. Elliot, if you can come in, unmute.
In fact, I did put my question on the chat.
Could you repeat the question for us, Elliot?
Okay, Elliot. Yeah, so I saw Elliot's questions to do with some of his work in the treatment of a medical condition. I think maybe perhaps a little bit out of the scope of what the management consulting space is working in.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe what I can suggest, Elliot, is that we maybe look at this offline with Leena, some of the companies that may be coming through, maybe connect you with something that's more in line with what you're working with.
So how am I gonna get those?
Yeah, I suggest that we connect with you via Leena to just see whether we can connect you with someone in the industry that is working specifically on that. I feel that it's a little bit out of scope for the present speakers.
Yeah.
Okay. Anneline and team, if I can maybe just ask a quick question. So I see that obviously Anneline's done chemical engineering, Anne has done industrial engineering. Have you all employed any other engineers from mechanical, civil, and so forth in the past? And you know, are there opportunities for them to grow as well?
Yes, I think we recruit engineers from all trades. We do have mechanical engineers in Singular as well. Our partners are industrial engineer. And yes, we have many chemical engineers as well. We also have people from other varieties. So you could study computer science, You could even have a pure business degree. I think the core part here that we look for is, one, did you study something that proves you have analytical capabilities? Two, proven mathematical capabilities, because the core part of course, management consulting is the problem solving.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so really the focus there, good problem solving skills, analytical skills, and I think engineers really fit that bill quite well. Okay, so I'm not seeing, sorry.
I've got your hand.
Oh, Leena's got a
David.
hand up.
Sorry, I have
Okay.
to ask this question. This is for the entire college. Anneline and Sheethal, what about the IT? I mean, the big thing is the IT space now. What about our students in data science, information systems, computer science, computer engineering? The big buzz currently. Do you all have opportunities for them?
Yes, I mean, I think what's crucial here is that they would follow a core management consulting journey, meaning we would hire them and utilize their skill sets, especially because we are moving into strategy consulting in the digital and innovation space. So the skill set is needed and is critical. I think what's important is that the skill would not be used as a technical skill, meaning you would not be the person implementing a SAP system into the organization, but you would be the person designing the digitization strategy of a bank and designing how a bank should work more into the fintech ecosystem. So skill set is definitely needed.
Thank you so much. That helps.
Thanks, Leena. Leena, I'm going to hand back to you. We've sort of run out of time, come up on 1 o'clock now. I just, on my side, just like to thank again the speakers, Anneline, Anne, and Sheethal. We really appreciate the time that you've taken out of your day to come through and speak to our students. And we really have enjoyed the program this afternoon. Back to you, Leena, maybe just to the closure.
Okay, thank you so much, David. Thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming and speaking to our students. Just a quick announcement. The next industry talk is taking place next week. It is done by and hosted by Sandra. So the information and the notice will be placed. Oh, well, thank you, Sneh. Any information from Singular will be emailed to all attendees either today or latest tomorrow. So students, please do not worry whatever you've missed out. I promise you, including if Sheethal and Anneline are happy to share the PowerPoint presentation, we will email all this information. So once again, thank you everyone and look forward to seeing more interactions with Singular. So thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.